We are happy to announce that this episode of the SWW show is partially brought to you by Humble Bundle. Well, not really. We are part of the Humble Bundle referral program, and we just wanted to say that if you like really cheap games and maybe helping charity pending the Humble thing going on, all you have to do is go to humblebundle.com/partner equals SWW. That's right, humblebundle.com/partner equals SWW. And you just do your normal stuff, and it just kind of helps us get a couple bucks here and there. Maybe it helps AJ get his lights, maybe it's Mike camera, maybe we actually pay Corey for helping us out. But again, if you're going to go buy games anyway, it might be worth checking out. Hello everyone, and welcome back to these interview episodes of the SWW show. I'm Mike, and today with me a special guest from decently around the world. To get us started, do you mind introducing yourself and the game we're here to talk about?
Hi, yes, I am Michael. I'm based in Germany, in central Germany, from the lovely city of Leipzig, which is like, 1.5 hours south of Berlin. And the game that, I'm going to talk about is The Great Ocean. It's a VR first game. And in this game, you dive into an adventure of the Earth's real oceans. So you get to use a high-tech ROV, like remote operated vehicle, like a submarine kind of. But this submarine has 2 arms, and with these 2 arms, you can grab things, and you can move things around, and you can get into the action, which you also have to do because you have many tasks to solve. Besides, you can swim with dolphins, whales, sharks, and The Great Ocean is a game that allows you to go to places and see species that are there in real life. Just probably you will never be able to go to the deep ocean into several thousand meters of depth or swim with the Galapagos with lots of hammerhead sharks, unless you're not scared of hammerhead sharks. And besides that, you learn a lot about the environment because you are being faced with issues also of destruction of coral reefs, hunting of fish, and just pollution. If someone puts a deadly atomic submarine into the sea, that's not the healthiest thing to happen to the ocean. So that's kind of a side thing while you explore the oceans.
So I've got to ask the immediate question, right? So as you said, you're exploring the actual oceans, you made off them. How accurate do you think the game is and how did you kind of do that research?
Yeah, so that's a good question. Well, the thing is, we used bathymetry as a base to start with. Then we consulted with scientists because also, there's science behind the game. Although it's not a science game or something like a purely educational game, it's really meant to have fun. And that's the thing. In order to make it fun, we could not stick 100% to what it looks down there. First of all, there's technical issues, so we can't really, do a one-to-one mapping because it's for the Quest 2, and the Quest 2 as a device is like a nice smartphone type of power. So we can't compute all of the nice realities, so we had to make it a little bit, less real from the textures. But the fish and everything seems pretty real to everyone we've tested it with. And the other thing is, the ocean is vast. It covers 90% of the earth, water. And it's so vast that if you just drive around with your submarine down there, there's long time nothing. And it gets quite boring quickly, unless you're maybe a real scientist and you are okay to just dive 1 hour without seeing anything. And of course, for a game that's not suitable, people want to be engaged and want to see things and don't want to see, 100% how it's down there. So it's not like a simulation as in reality. It's really a game that started from the real, types of flora and fauna the real depths, the real types of, sand or stone and so on. And then we made it all a little bit more tight so that people don't get lost in the void.
Okay. So that is an interesting thing I didn't even think of like, yeah, the ocean naturally, just because the nature of it is very empty. So yeah, I get to be able to compact a lot of stuff. I'm curious, you use the
Yeah.
words VR first. Does that mean that it's playable out of VR, or is this game an exclusively VR game?
Right now it's exclusively VR, and it was concepted as, using all the nice things you can only do in VR, like having two hands moving around and all of these things. So that's something we are really proud of, that this actually works on the VR, and the graphics are amazing compared to, what is possible with this, type of device. But of course, yes, on the long term, we believe that it might be interesting also to create a PC or a mobile version, because it runs like on a mobile kind of chip already, and modern phones and computers as well, they can also, they would be able to play this game. The only thing we of course have to change is that the controllers, and it's not as immersive than in VR, because I think what really makes a difference, and the reason why we chose VR for like the first platform, was not just we find it really cool and we love VR, but it's really immersive. You really think you're down there in this ocean, and we've had like influencers and testers saying, "Oh my God, like I'm so scared of this kind of drop into the void in this ocean. I would never do this in real life, but here I try because I know I'm kind of a little bit safer than in real life." And that's cool. So maybe it's also against anxiety. This game can be used against anxiety of depths.
Oh yeah, no, that's interesting. And also, yeah, so I worked on a bunch of VR projects, and I've also seen the thing too of like people, even though they know it's different, they like if someone's a fear of heights, you still have a fear of heights in VR, or like in ocean all
Yeah,
the time, the fear of the great unknown or the great like openness. Did you
yeah.
guys kind of try to do any sort of like mode or like UI choices to kind of control for that? Like maybe like, hey, we're gonna start you maybe in a tighter spot, like in a cavern or anything like that, or is it just because of the nature of this game, it's hard to kind of control for those problems?
Yeah, well, we start with Cozumel, which is like the island where lots of, international and lots of American tourists go. That's like in Mexico in the Caribbean. Has a beautiful reef system, lots of nice fish, and is very shallow around the island. So a lot of divers, especially from the US, go there because it's just a short flight, and they enjoy being there underwater in the reefs. And so it's an environment we've chose, like a level that we chose that is really friendly for everyone who is maybe afraid of, too dark waters or too big drops. And I think it's just, for, beginners, it's perfect. And also for people to explore the marine life in a reef, which is really, really nice. But we do plan to implement like a tutorial level, which is like really like in a swimming pool kind of thing. But in the end, I believe like the people, they really want to, go into the real life, or like supposedly real, simulated life and see real fish. So yeah, I mean, I guess it's for everyone else to find out if they, can stomach, diving deep. But I think since you're like, we really give people the feeling to be secure in this rough and with these two hands, and there is no shark attack. There is no, you can't die, you can't kill. It's really an explorative game where you don't expect harm to happen.
No, that makes a lot of sense. It had to have been. I'm assuming there had to have been at least some discussions internally of like making there be some interactiveness. I assume they just kind of like at some point got killed based upon wanting to make this an explorer game, or is it always just like, hey, we're just gonna make this an exploration-based game. let's not have people worry about other things besides that.
Yeah, I think it's really started out as an exploration game. Of course, we were tempted along the way, to create other modes, and it's not totally outruled, but then it would be a spin-off. This game is really an exploration game, and there are dangers. Of course, you can't die, but of course you can run into like big fish. And this might feel threatening, although they don't attack you. This might feel threatening to you if you are swimming as a little submarine next to this huge blue whale. This might feel threatening to some people. But on the other hand, also you see, what is threatening the ocean. You see, how fish got injured or the plastic problem in the ocean that you also can help cleaning up. And you get points. So there's a high score system, a classical high score system, and there is specific tasks, quests, main quests, and side quests for each level. So you can level up your badges, and you can get high scores in each of the levels. So there is definitely this combination of, for pure explorers that don't care so much about high scores, and then there is also interesting, gameplay for achievers who just want to find, every little bit in the level to get the maximum high score that you can get in this level.
Wow. No, that's interesting. So I'm curious actually that how does that work kind of from when you guys are making decisions of like pollution, for example? Are you saying what's destroying the oceans? How did you guys kind of discuss kind of how to look at stuff, like where to get research from that, like kind of what was your guys' kind of thoughts for that?
Yeah, so like from the beginning, even before we actually started coding on the project, we were discussing with scientists from research institutes like the Alfred Wegener Institute in Germany, or we were also talking to the Potsdam Institute for Climate Impact, that really to see what are the major issues here to portray. And I mean, there is like a vast, and it's a very complicated topic as well. For non-scientists, probably not that interesting or hard to grasp, how complicated the ecosystem down there is. But for us, we thought, okay, so what's, break it down, make it simple, make it understand, make it gamify it. So that it is interesting to use those concepts or those real threats and make this into a game. So we started out with science, and we're consulting with them for every level to make it authentic, but still a game. Yeah.
No, that's interesting. Yeah, there is. What you said, though, about the part about how interesting the science not is that interesting thing of whenever you're making something for a more mainstream or mass audience of like, you're like, how do we explain how this is killing something but not get too bogged in the like scientific details but still kind of show the outcome? But no, that's a very interesting kind of problem. The next thing I want to talk about is the obvious scale of this game. Obviously, I think you guys said it was going to be around 5 hours of gameplay, and obviously you guys have a lot of like replayability and stuff you can find. How did you guys kind of try to control for the scale? Because obviously you're talking the ocean. It's massive, and like to us, it's like this nearly endless thing. How did you both try to get the sense of the ocean scale, but like the practicality of there's only so many people working on this project?
Yeah, so that's something we tackled in a like for us like doable way. Each level is kind of separate, so levels do not overlap, or you don't need to solve one level to go or one quest in one level to go to another quest in another level. So each level, and which stands for a region. It's kind of like a separate bubble, you could say, and we plan to update the game with new levels as we go along with the game after launch. So the game is already launched, It's available in the App Club, the store of Meta. So you will not find it in the official App Store because Meta doesn't make it easy for people or for games or projects to get there, but rather difficult actually. And so we are available via SideQuest, or if you know if you look for it, then of course you can find it as well in the App Lab. And so over time, we are going to release, new levels with new features, new tools, new mechanics, and of course, new discoverable assets. And all of these things that you then discover, they all come together in a lab. So everything you scan, everything you touch, everything you see, and you make yourself comfortable with in the game, no matter on which level, gets added to your lab. It's kind of not an inventory. It's kind of an atlas, like an explorative book of where you can then, if you're interested in science, you can read much more about the threats and about the solutions as well, because that's really important. This game is not very dire and says, "Oh my God, everything is too bad. The ocean is dying." No, it's really saying, "Okay, look, these are the problems here, and these are the solutions that people are working on here." And that also makes it possible for us to highlight NGOs and scientific, inventions from startups in the ecosystem, in the, blue economy, as they call it, the ocean economy, to highlight those like first movers, those innovative players with their solutions.
No, that's very interesting. Yeah, I didn't even think of kind of that. I want to talk about the big thing. I want to talk about kind of as we get to the tail end of discussing kind of this game is how did you guys kind of think of like movement? Obviously, so like if people don't know, in this game when you're exploring the ocean, you're in like a submarine deep exploration craft kind of. How did you guys deal with that? And then the other thing to me, the big problem in VR is obviously motion sickness. How did you guys kind of do stuff with that? How to testing? I'm kind of curious, kind of how you solved that problem.
Yeah. So, of course, motion sickness. Some people have it, some people don't have it. Some people have minor issues. It's really everyone's a little bit different, and it also seems to have an influence which headset you're wearing, and if this headset, what kind of resolution. Of course, the eye distance, like the IPD, that if you can manually change it or not. That also seems to have like an influence. I mean, we have in our team also some people who get really easily motion sick. So we have a great tester in-house, and we have made in the in the menu of the game, you can choose the level of anti-motion sickness preventions we take in the game. So first of all, we said, okay. What prevents motion sickness for many people is if you're in a cockpit, if you're not like free and everything moves, but if you have some things within your vision that doesn't move, and that's your cockpit, and you are in this ROV and you see all the time. If you look down, you see the chassis, you see the cockpit menu, you see the radar, you see your both hands that you can move, you see them all the time, and then the level of acceleration and if you're braking like up the deceleration is slower than it would be if you are like in a fighter jet, because in water you move much slower than you are in air. So this naturally also prevents us from being too fast or too slow or changing speed too quickly. And these two things help enormously to reduce motion sickness for most people. And yeah, there's some little tricks and things we did as well to try to improve it, but it's hard to explain. And it's a little bit of a trick that I guess a lot of people do with the vision.
No, that makes sense. See, that's interesting. So I always have this weird thing. So I generally don't get motion sickness in VR, but I have the one exception of actually in cars in VR I get motion sick. But I think what it is there is because like I know what a car feels like when I'm driving it, so my body is like there's a disconnect there where like if like I play as Iron Man, I don't know what like playing as Iron Man feels like. So I think there's like some weird
Hmm.
head trick. I was curious if you guys test as anyone who has been in any sort of like craft kind of like this, and if they had any sort of experience with this.
I mean, we've done many tests with people, but I can't say for sure that we have tested like every little variant of motion sickness people can get. So definitely, since like the submarine can move in 3D and not like a car that just moves on the street, like that definitely makes a difference for some people because here you can just dive, deep, and sometimes people, they're not used to that obviously because a car can't dive; it just can go straight. That is maybe something that people can get nervous about, but from the feedback we've got, it's not something major. We don't get like this as a major critique that it is motion sick because when it comes to VR games where you have some movement of yourself in it, it's it's generally a problem for some and for some not. Yeah, there's only so much you can do about that.
Oh yeah, no, I totally understand. At the end of the day, there is a limitation of. And some people can get motion sick and like it sucks, and you don't want them to, but like there is at least some level of like a percentage that like you're like no matter what we do, it's gonna be a problem. So as we're talking, the game right now, as it says on Steam, it says coming soon. I'm kind of curious if you guys had
Uh-huh.
any update for a timeline for people, like what they can expect.
Yeah, so there is many people reaching out to us who want to test it on Steam VR because it's I guess it's better for reviewing because you can record it more easily. You can create a video more easy for your channel if you are able to put it on Steam. And of course, the graphics are better on Steam. Actually, I was surprised when we just put a one-to-one copy of the Quest 2 version onto like a PC VR. It looked stunning still, and we didn't do much. So right now we're working on creating extensive levels to really push also the limits for PC VR and make it really look great and shiny. And like we believe we will be delivering this in March. So stay tuned for maybe a first version, and bear in mind also that we are right now in early access. So we really need the support of everyone to wishlist the game, and then if it comes out also to buy the game and give us feedback. This really helps us to improve the game further, make it look better, and create new levels. And also we are considering doing a Kickstarter actually for doing a level that would be California most likely.
Really? That's that is interesting. So yeah, let's so the game is The Great Ocean. You could currently
Uh-huh.
wishlist it on Steam, which will help you guys get more visibility. I'll see everyone should go wishlist the game. See that I'd expect in March something to open up in early access on Steam. I want to say thank you again for talking to me today. Is there any other spot we should be sending people to go learn about the Great Ocean?
I mean, Steam is a great place, or directly to the Quest 2 version on the App Lab, on SideQuest or the App Lab directly. I think that would be great.
Perfect. Again, I want to say thank you for your time today and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks a lot.
The SWW show and all of its affiliate podcasts are podcast by me, Mike Maroney, and AJ Losi, sometimes by our contributors, including Corey King. You can follow the SWW show on social media at the SWW show, or sooner or later you go to patreon.com/SWW to help us out. Thank you. We hope you enjoy the rest of your day.